All right, we're live, and let's make sure this going out okay on the old YouTubes, because you never know when I'm going to robot voice or something. Come on. Come on. Come on, damn it. All right, sounds all right. Um, pardon me. Still a bit of a cold. Finally, the weather broke. It's above freezing today, which it's like 37, which feels like fucking 77 after the week we've had. But so, Bechtloff in the morning. I don't have any traffic and weather, but I do have. It seems the one true church is up to yet again some shenanigans. Let's take a look at this. The one true church, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully I can bring this article up without the. So, Vatican newspaper praises Tallman. It's from last Thursday. Vatican newspaper La Osservatore Romano, always bad with pronouncing foreign words, has uncritically praised the new Italian edition of the Talmud as the teachings of the masters of Israel. Pardon me. The Talmud is a collection of often legalistic Jewish writings from the Christian era. It claims, for instance, that Jesus Christ practiced magic and sorcery. Mary was unfaithful to her husband, and Christ is now boiling in excrement in hell. That's some of the stuff that's in the Talmud, and over in the Vatican, they're praising it. Now, it's at a Vatican paper. I don't know how officially tied to the Vatican such a thing would be, so, just throwing that out there. But, definitely a pattern of some shenanigans from the one true church there. Now, before anybody hops on this, I do want to be fair. Evangelicals shill way too fucking hard for the quote-unquote chosen. And, I mean, a great example of this, if you're not familiar with him, look into a guy named John Hagee. Has one of these mega churches down in Texas. Reasonably big mover among the religious right, I guess. I know McCain really cozied up to him desperately in the 2008 election, trying kind of a Hail Mary pass, but trying desperately to not lose that election. Hagee, though, shills for the tribe remarkably so, to the point where I'm not really convinced he isn't paid off. I mean, I'm not. It's unreal. The thing with evangelicals, though, is no, I don't know, maybe with the leaders if they can be this dumb or whatever, but certainly your rank and file evangelicals, they don't know what the fuck the Talmud is. All right, they've never heard of it. If they have, they've heard of it vaguely. They have no idea what's in it. Evangelicals think that modern Judaism is the Judaism they find in the Old Testament. They think it's basically the same. It's not. They, as I've often pointed out on here, Jews have their own version of the New Testament, and it is fucked up. It's essentially a quote-unquote religion. Talmudic Judaism is essentially a religion of racial supremacism. For as much as we hear all the screeching about white supremacism, there's not really a great deal of it. Frankly, even within white nationalist circles, it usually boils down to, give us our own space, leave us alone. It's not necessarily about wanting to subjugate or oppress other races. It's not that. Talmudic Judaism, however, is that. Give us our own space and then let us fuck over your spaces, is Talmudic Judaism. The Jewish supremacism is very rampant. Very rampant. And it's no surprise that the Vatican just openly fucking embraces this shit because, I mean, they're bought and paid for by basically Marxist globalists at this point. And who do you think Marxist globalists are heavily in bed with? So yeah, that's a fun little article. I thought it was interesting. Somebody in the chat just brought up a interesting statement. They said Oprah will be president. I don't really think so. Now it's definitely a danger. I'm not arguing that. That said, though, first of all, it's not clear that she's running. So for those of you that don't know, and I didn't watch it because I didn't watch the Golden Globes because, of course, I didn't watch the Golden Globes. I didn't watch the Golden Globes years ago when a lot of people still watched it. I'm certainly not going to watch them now. That it's going to be a bunch of, an industry full of pedophiles, whores, and rapists are going to lecture me morally. And then they're going to say the fact that their industry is full of rapists and pedophiles is somehow Trump's fault. Somehow middle Americans' fault. I'm sick of these fuckers. And you know what? The best way to combat Oprah's possible ascension is, it's already being passed around. The pictures and pictures and pictures of her cozying up to Harvey Weinstein. She fucking knew. She knew. Everybody knew, but she knew. I don't know that Hollywood necessarily can push someone to the White House right now. A few years ago, maybe. I don't know right now. I mean, they can barely get people to go to the movies anymore. I don't know about it. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't dismiss it offhand. The idea of her running is troubling, but I don't know about that. Somebody says Scott Adams' stream on Oprah was spot on. She's far too nice for politics. I've never really bought the niceness from her, though. I've always known that right under the surface there's something ugly. Same with Rosie O'Donnell. If you remember back in '95, I think it was, when Rosie started her fucking talk show back in the '90s, it became a huge hit. It's because she was nice and charming and bubbly and all this stuff. And then immediately, like, the '96 election happened, and she sort of politicized and then became just increasingly more political. And her ratings went down. That's not what people initially tuned into it for. But all these quote unquote nice liberals, you scratch the surface and they're vicious, nasty motherfuckers. Ellen, you scratch the surface past her. O'Donnell, Oprah. I mean, you're seeing it now with all these, late night talk show hosts where it used to be like, laughing, joking. Now they're just like pointing their finger like, fuck you, middle America. I mean, you should watch Seth Meyers' show sometime. I mean, actually, you shouldn't, but like catch a clip of it on YouTube or something. It's fucking horrendous. Pardon me. Still a bit of a snootful. Yeah, I don't necessarily think Oprah, and also it would be quite the fight because, mark my words, assuming she's not dead or in jail, Hillary will run. She will not be denied. The Democrats might, again, to some respect, Trump taking care of the Hillary Clinton problem by putting her in jail would solve some of the Democrats' problems, because if she's still an active player, there will be a civil war among their ranks. Because a lot of Democrats realize that the Clintons need to go, and the Clintons are not about to go quietly into a good night. I'm convinced that the only reason that woman's still alive is that her decrepit, half-decayed fucking sack of meat she calls a body is animated purely by ambition and spite. But yeah, I don't know about Oprah. I don't know what she's up to. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't even think her speech made quite the splash everyone's imagining it did. Certainly the media has had a big circle jerk about it. But I'd be curious to know what the fuck the ratings on the Golden Globes even were. Somebody says, I want to read the Talmud. How hard is it to find a good translation? I wasn't sure myself. I've been meaning to get my hands on a good English translation of it myself. Somebody says it's the baby blood that keeps her fresh. It wouldn't surprise me. Nothing about those monsters would surprise me at this point. Not a thing. Let's see. I gotta find a new job. I gotta get my schedule in order. I don't even have a schedule at my current job. I don't have days off. I haven't had a day off in all the time I've been there, which has like been like at this point nearly a month. I've had off for the holidays because there was no work, and then I've had some on-call days, which they can call me up to 2 hours start into the start of my shift and have me come in, and those are basically worthless as far as off days because you can't really do anything. You can't play anything. I'm working third, so if I am working or might working, I have to sleep during the day. I was on call last night, so I didn't end up working. I'm up now because I just went back to fucking bed, which maybe I shouldn't have done, but what? Oh well. I don't care. I'd find something else. I got in touch with an employment agency that I think will find me something else. They've found me good shit in the past, really good shit in the past. So. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on about my job situation. Lord knows I've bitched about that enough in the past year. But point is, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll have shit, I've had jobs that have bad schedules. It's the first time I've been at one that doesn't have a schedule. But hopefully I'll have my schedule under control and I can go back to doing the big weekly show. Because I know more people enjoy that than these sort of spur of the moment live streams. And I get that. I have more guests. I have more topics. In many regards, they are better. So I've been playing through Breath of the Wild. And again, and I've said this numerous times, I need to go and just do the shrines. I've activated a bunch of shrines, but I'm still at just 4 hearts. I gotta fucking do the shrines. Meanwhile, though, I snuck into like into the tower, the town of the desert lesbians, the Gerudos. You have to find somebody who's willing to sell you girl clothes, and then you dress like a girl and sneak in. Which I kind of already had that plot point spoiled for me because the internet blew up with fucking link tranny porn when that happened. Because of course it did. Somebody says hard to catch these morning shows. Well, most people don't listen live. I know that much. They put it on as background noise later. And yeah, I admit I'm all over the place with what I stream. There's times I'm streaming at like midnight, 1 a.m., something like that. And then, basically any time between midnight and noon, I'm streaming here lately. Yeah, I gotta just do the fucking shrines in that game. It feels like the homework I have to do, so I keep putting it off. Like I just want to explore. I just want to find more shit. Pardon me. Let's see. I wonder if Forney's available. I see him on there. Maybe he wants to hop in first. But you should plan a trip to Mecca of Gaming, Japan. I don't know that I really have much interest in going to Japan, to be honest. I kind of do, but I don't know. I've actually never been out of the country. Shit, I think that trip I took to Vegas a couple years ago when I first actually met in person, Forney and Aaron and Davis. I think that was the first time I've been off the East Coast, to be honest. Should start a RuneScape clan. I barely know what RuneScape is, let alone have I ever played it. I'm going to the chat here. Oprah will be president. No, I don't believe she will. New job, no like. Yeah, just this, like I said, the schedule was rough. I mean, the job itself is just basic factory work like I've done in a million places. The job itself isn't hard. The schedule is hard. Like I said, I've had places that have had bad schedules. The first time I've worked somewhere that has no schedule. RuneScape is life. You click the mouse to level up. Okay. Like I said, I don't know anything about it. Couldn't tell you anything about it. I mean, a lot of it's free to play fucking games like that, or I'm assuming that's what that is. Like something like League of Legends, maybe, or whatever. I don't know. I'd barely be a gamer if not for Nintendo. If I'm being honest with you, that's the only thing really keeping me in the hobby. Like, Nintendo is just consistently fun. Hell, even the Wii U, for as much as everyone shits on it, was still worth owning. Still plenty of games on it worth owning. Yeah, way more than fucking Xbone or PS4. I mean, hell, the Switch already has more games on it, as far as I'm concerned, than the Xbox and PS4 that I want. I mean, right now, I have 3 games on it. I have Mario and Rabbids, I have Mario Odyssey, and I have Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey alone are like months and months and months and months of fun for me. Like, it'll be a very long time before I get bored with either one of those. Even after I beat Mario Odyssey, there'd still probably be plenty of fucking moons to look for and shit. And then Breath of the Wild, I'll probably won't beat for a very long time. I mean, I'm dicking around in it so much. Hey, Forney, how's it going?
Yeah, hey, man.
You ready for President Oprah?
Oh, God. I'm ready to slip my wrists.
Yeah, I don't really think that's going to happen. Already everyone's passing around all the Weinstein stuff. I don't think Hollywood has the power it once did now to do that kind of shit, to push somebody like that.
Well, that, and there's the fact that is Oprah really that likable or that remarkable? I mean, you know, she's got the profile, but she's no Trump, obviously. So,
I mean, I'm sure she'd get a lot of single women vote, but, you know, single women tend to vote Democrat anyways. You know, way to shore up something you already had.
The big thing she could do is increase the black vote, or at least the black female vote.
I don't know. I don't really think she could win. It's not something to necessarily ignore, but I'm not too worried about it.
I'd give her a better chance than Kamala Harris. Hold on, I got to drop out for a bit to log in on my computer. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's probably the best bet the Democrats have right now, but I don't know that that's saying much. Frankly, if Trump can even get the wall started, I mean, if he can. That's the other thing. I keep hearing these, like, a lot of alt-right types and shit like that, you know, fucking no sense of priorities or anything. These guys are all like, Trump hasn't done enough. Trump hasn't done enough. I'm not happy. This isn't enough. This isn't enough. And he needs to stop focusing on the economy. I hear this all the time from alt-right people. I don't care about tax cuts. Well, it's probably because you're like a NEET that lives in your mom's basement or something. Or you know, you're fucking... In the case of somebody like Spencer, you're a trust fund kid. Most people care about tax cuts, okay? Now, yeah, I don't want tax cuts and then let's ignore the fucking future. I don't want that boomer mindset. But at the same time, I mean, you know, man doesn't live by bread alone, but he sure as shit doesn't live without it. And if you actually ever say economics don't matter, well, that tells me you've never gone hungry. That tells me you've probably never really been broke. Okay? Yeah, they matter. All right? And trust me, there are one of the biggest things Trump can do to ensure a re-election is make the economy better. Put more money in people's pockets. Because most people don't know shit about politics. They know when things are going pretty well for them, and they know who's in charge when they are, or when things are going badly for them. Like the Republicans were doomed to lose in 08 because shit went off the rails with that economic crash, and the Republicans were in charge. And that's all most people knew, and that's all they were ever going to know. So yeah, this economics don't matter shit. Fuck you. Like I said, man doesn't live by bread alone, but he sure as hell doesn't live without it. I don't want to see these tax cuts for corporations. Corporations are pushing degeneracy. Blah blah blah. When that tax bill was passed, everybody working at AT&T got $1,000 bonus because of something Trump pushed through. Everyone working for AT&T, and that's just one bit of anecdotal evidence there, is much more likely to be voting Trump 2020. So he says, I'd argue economics are the only thing that matters. Every problem is made better by having more money in general. Not really. I wouldn't say it's not by no means is it the only thing that matters, but it matters a great deal. As I said, if you can't pay the rent, there's few things that are more pressing priority to you than that in that moment. $1,000 is tiny compared to all the gains up top. Well, so what? Like what? Of course they're not going to be. Of course it's tiny compared to the gains up top. That's how shit works. The point is, though, everyone working at that particular company, just as any anecdotal evidence, AT&T got $1,000 bonus. So yeah, they're much more likely to vote Trump. I was just talking, Forney. I was saying, all these alt-righters that think economics don't matter. First of all, that tells me they've never gone hungry. They've never been broke.
The mantra of the NEET.
Yeah, because money only doesn't matter when you have it. But yeah, one of the best things Trump could do to get reelected and further push his agenda is make the economy stronger, make people more financially secure, make people more comfortable in that regard. They're going to want to vote for the guy who did that. Well, I don't care about tax cuts. Well, taxpayers do.
Well, now we know why they don't care about tax cuts, because they're net tax consumers. They are parasites.
Yeah, I'm sure Spencer doesn't care about tax cuts because he's probably never needs to check his bank account. He just fucking pulls out his card and spends when he wants to spend.
Mommy, please send me more money to fight the race war.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm personally jumping for joy over these tax changes. I mean, well, it would matter more to me if I was still in the States, because I don't have to pay taxes when I'm living abroad on most of what I earn anyway. But if I were back in the States, I would be jumping for joy.
Oh, just the repeal of the mandate alone is a big boon to me. I mean, I don't know how much refund I'd be looking to get because obviously I didn't make as much money this year as I did the previous year. But I wouldn't have gotten any of it because I would have been fined for, 3/4 of the year. I didn't buy something that I didn't particularly need and certainly couldn't afford. And that's been taken away. So now I might actually get a tax refund. I don't think they were able to fine you. I think they could just take it out of their tax refund.
Well, I got fined 2 years in a row. They just
Oh, yeah.
added it. Well, I'm self-employed, so I'm not getting any kind of tax refund whatsoever.
Oh,
But they lapped on an extra $500 or an extra $800 onto my tax bill.
well, yeah, that's the thing, man. That's a big deal to a lot of people. That alone is a big deal to a lot of people. Like, oh, Trump's accomplished a great deal. People just like, yeah, he hasn't built a new wall decorated with Hillary Clinton's skull yet, but did anybody seriously think that was going to be happening in the first year?
I think the kids who are under 21 who are whining the most seriously thought it did, because they're used to instant gratification. We live in an instant gratification culture. Press X to win. Press Y to get some hot porn delivered on your computer, your browser tab. They don't understand the concept that some things you have to work towards, and some things you got to wait for.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you follow him in Gab, Ricky Vaughn is constantly talking about like actual ideas for real political change and stuff like that, and he gets all these screeching autists that are like, "You're a cuck," because he's actually thinking of it. There's one thing I've noticed with so many far right fringe movements, and I mean this runs the gambit. You can point to the libertarians and say this. You can point to the monarchists and say this. You can point to the white nationalists and say that, and it's that they've laid out this perfect fucking system for how this all will theoretically work, and they don't have a clue on how to get there. Like, they have no just put this in place and everything will work. They don't have a clue on how to incrementally get towards that goal. And any attempt to even plan out how to do that is seen as some sort of compromise or cucking, or I mean, hell, the neo-reactionary guys used to be like, you shouldn't get involved in politics at all. And it's like, how do you think that this thing you want to see happen is going to happen then?
Well, these fringe political movements are a repository for fringe people who basically want to just bitch. It reminds me of months ago, you, me, and Undertow had a discussion on millennial woes. And I don't want to single him out for criticism because his mentality is very common. But people like him, they don't actually want their political objectives to be achieved. They just want to complain and be sad about it. And if they did get what they wanted, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves the day after.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely got that impression from a lot of these groups. A lot of libertarians, I remember years ago when I was first starting to do a podcast and I identified much more as a libertarian. I had this proposal where, the way to phase out the welfare state would be if you made receiving welfare contingent upon contraception use, if not maybe sterilization, if people, don't consistently use the contraception. And I had all these people screeching at me about, like, I had a bunch of people screeching at me about it, but I had some libertarians screeching at me about how it was a violation of human rights. I'm like, first of all, it's not, because you don't like the terms, you don't have to take the money. Second of all, it's like, do you want to see the welfare state gone or not? Because as far as I can tell, it's either this or collapse. A lot of people don't realize, like, we didn't get where we are overnight. And if you want to go back, you're not going to go back overnight.
Well, yeah, deportations are up too, and from what it looks like, the DACA deal that everyone was blackpilling over, that's going to fall through because the Democrats don't want to give any sort of compromise whatsoever, which is a good thing because it means all the DACA recipients are going to be eligible for deportation in 2 months.
Sweet. And they're going to be deported. I mean, hell, the only real solid criticism I have at this point is that I think Jeff Sessions needs to go. Needs to outright go. You can't seem to get this guy to work on anything but bitching about pot. Like, that's the only thing you can get this guy fired up over. as I've often said on here, if only we had evidence of Hillary Clinton smoking pot instead of just, mishandling precious classified information, maybe we could get Sessions to give a shit. But other than that, I mean, that's the only real solid criticism. That's the only thing, if I had a chance to speak to Trump, that's the only negative thing I would ever say to him. I'd be like, I generally love what you're doing, Mr. President, but Sessions needs to go.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I'm not I'm not as down as the whole pot prosecuting potheads as much as everyone else is. As far as I'm concerned, the more potheads thrown in prison, the better. But Sessions is focusing too much on that. I agree.
Well, again, it's the classic thing of it's the classic conservative mindset where you can't get them to focus on real problems. You can't. The most you can do is get them to focus on more emotional social problems, and even then, you can't get them to focus on big social problems. You can get your average conservative to bitch about gay marriage, but you can't get any of them to complain about single moms or no-fault divorce.
Well, it goes back to all the. I think the problem with these boomers is it goes back to that discussion I had with One Man's Chorus a few months back. Check that out on his channel. Boomers had this weird deference towards women, this weird female worship, and Sessions is a perfect example of that. And all these boomers, that's why they don't focus on single mothers or any of the problems that women do, because in their minds, women can do no wrong. They're always exhorting men to man up and do their manly duty, but they have no expectations of women whatsoever. Women can be as bitchy, fat, obnoxious, unfeminine as possible. And in the eyes of boomers, women can do no wrong.
Yeah, if you ever listen to like the pop music of the boomers, like, the oldies from the 50s and 60s and into the 70s and all, it is some of the whiniest pussy pedestal shit you could ever hope to hear. I mean, even as far as cheesy pop music goes, it's really amazing. And that's definitely not something they've ever grown out of.
I think it just stems back to the fact that, they all came of age when women were – they came of age at a sweet spot in history where women were very feminine, pleasant, and pretty, but also would put out easy. So that just warped their minds mentally.
Somebody says boomers aren't thirsty trads like many millennials, though.
Oh, trust me. Boomers are the thirstiest motherfuckers around.
Oh, yeah.
The boomers invented thirst.
Yeah, boomers are.
If any generation should have been masculine and understand the value of such things as agree and amplify and the abundance mentality, it should have been boomers, because when the boomers were around, there were actually more women than men in most countries, particularly in France and in the U.S. Thirst from millennials is somewhat understandable. It's still horrible, but it's understandable because there are fewer women to go around due to not only the fact that there are fewer women, period, but also obesity, dead parrot haircuts, whatnot. Boomers got no excuse whatsoever. Boomers got no excuse.
Yeah. There's, and I mean, it just went on and on with the boomers. I mean, look at somebody like Megyn Kelly. I called this 10 years ago. The reason Megyn Kelly had a career is because Viagra Republicans 10 years ago like to pull their pud to her. I think it was I forget who it was on Gab, but somebody pointed out on Gab that, like, you can get conservative boomers to absolutely lust after and follow any fucking female political commentator if she's halfway attractive looking and poses with a gun.
I think that was Todd Kincannon.
Yeah, that's who it was. I mean, and there's some of that from the millennials. I mean, there's obviously the Lauren Southern cult, but boomers invented that. I mean, half of Fox News was that.
Well, then I'd say, Lauren Southern provides more skin, more bang for the buck, as it were. I mean, have we ever seen Megyn Kelly in anything other than that god-awful get-up?
Well,
At least Lauren Southern did cosplay.
about 10 years ago, Megan used to, back when she was like on during the day and supposed to be actually one of the news reporters, she was showing quite the legs, as Fox News loves to do. But yeah, she's never dressed up like Samus from Metroid. So
yeah,
which I would contend is the only worthwhile thing Lauren Southern's really ever done.
Yeah. Comment in the chat from John Steele. According to her first husband, Mick and Kelly was into anal sex.
It's not surprising. That's not surprising at all. I hated her like 10 years ago. Just that when she was younger and could get away with it, she always had this bitchy valley girl mentality about her. And it was especially annoying because she was on during the afternoon when she was supposed to be actually just reporting news, not giving her commentary. And she was still like going like at like every guest that whose opinion she didn't like. It's like, sweetie, the grown-ups are talking. So yeah, I've always hated Megan with a Y.
I believe, yeah, she's from my area, so I've hated her since like 2001. Yeah, let me double check that.
One of the funniest things I ever saw on Fox News, there was a show like 10, 15 years ago I used to watch called Fox News Watch, where it was actually a bunch of people would analyze just the media for that week, like how well the media was doing its job of actually being journalists. And a guy, Cal Thomas, was on, one of these typical boomer conservatives. And towards the real decline of this show, I saw at one point, they had these basically proto-trad thoughts on. And it was right around the time Barbara Walters' book came out, like her autobiography, where she talked about banging some senator.
Mm-hmm.
And this trad thought was on there. She was like, I was reading that part, and I was like, OMG, TMI. And you just saw, like, in the corner of the shot, like Cal Thomas just shot her this look, just shooting daggers at her, where you could tell like he wanted to smack her. Like he just wanted to be like, sweetheart, this is the grown-ups are talking. This is a news show, okay? Who let you in? But that's what that network became. Just a bunch of skirts. Let's see. The right wing's main weakness has always been pussy worship. I can kind of see that.
Well, not always. In recent decades, certainly, but not always. Used to be that good patriarchal men knew when to lay the hammer down.
Let's see. Guess the you white dykes. Soy Slaughter reading through the chat here. Megyn Kelly wanted Trump to fuck her. That's still one of the best political moments I ever saw was when Trump made a fool out of Megan with a Y. So he says, better to worship pussy than go to the bathhouse. Yeah. Can't argue with you there. Let's see. Cucks News. CUX News. Cucks News. I caught a little bit of Glenn Beck yesterday morning as I was riding around, and I didn't hear him mention Trump once, and I listened to about an hour of it.
Probably on the advice of his AA sponsor.
Glenn Beck's fall was quite the amusing thing, because Glenn Beck, from the moment Trump first announced, was all like, "No, fuck this guy," without any ever real reason. It was basically he didn't like Trump's swagger, which not surprising given what a fucking gamma Beck is.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of all the dumb things involving Glenn Beck we could talk about. The Sarah Palin Hello Kitty diary. His buddy with Al Sharpton. Uh, the Cheetos incident.
I never forget the Sarah Palin thing.
The
Oh,
interview
dude.
interview with Eric Massa. You really got your pick of cringeworthy moments with Glenn Beck. We're spoiled for cringe when it comes to when it comes to the Master Mormon.
Well, the time I knew that he was a piece of shit, that I knew, okay, like this guy is not to be trusted. Back when he had his CNN headline news show, he was talking about, he was doing some pro Iraq war shit. And this was I want to say like '07, maybe late '06, but like Ron Paul was very prominent at this time because he was starting his presidential run. The first one that got really, really major notice. And Glenn Beck kept talking about how we got to fight the bad guys in Iraq. And he kept cutting to an empty chair because he kept trying to say, like, he invited Ron Paul, but Ron Paul was too scared to come on. And it turned out he never invited Ron Paul. Like, he finally had to have him on at some point and kind of was like, oh, it was some sort of miscommunication between our staffs. Like, no, no, it wasn't. But yeah, that's about when I realized what Beck was. And yeah, the Hello Kitty diary shit with Sarah Palin. I can't remember if this was after the '08 election or not, but
I would have to assume it was after, just because nobody knew who Sarah Palin was before the '08 election.
No, I mean like after the election, like not during. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I think it was actually after, like Obama had won at this point.
yeah, yeah. Not to interrupt you, yeah, but I think he was off the air for a good portion of 2008 because that's when he announced his deal to Fox News, and CNN pulled him off because they didn't want to, just out of revenge. So I'm guessing it was after. But sorry, go on. Just me being autistic.
He has her on, and he's now there were two really. Hannity had a really bad Palin interview too. That was like, I thought Hannity was going to lean over and try and kiss her. It was very Weinstein-esque, and surprising from Hannity, because normally Hannity seems like he doesn't exist from the waist down. But Beck is on, and he tells her, like, I want to read from my journal. And he pulls out his journal, and it's some night that he was like praying for her or something about how special and unique she is. It was the cringiest shit you could possibly imagine. I mean, it was some supreme gentleman shit. Like, Sarah Palin is visibly uncomfortable too, because I mean, it's this fucking creepy Spurg just whipped out his Hello Kitty diary and started reading it to you. I wrote you a poem. Like, oh, I wish I could find that on YouTube too.
Well, I just Googled it, and I found a video from 2010 called "Glenn Beck Interviews Sarah Palin." That's the top hit for Glenn Beck Sarah Palin diary. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It's hard to believe that someone hasn't archived this for internet posterity.
Oh man. Yeah, that was the absolute cringiest shit he's ever done. I mean, I think that really tops the Cheeto thing, where he lost his shit, and like he's like, we're gonna all smash our face in Cheetos because that'll show Trump.
Yeah, the Cheetos thing was like, a graph point on the curve of his decline. The Hello Kitty diary. That's deeper psychological torment.
It's just like, what goes through his face? Surely this will stump the Trump. Oh, that was unreal. That was really unreal. He just kept losing his shit and losing his shit. There was one time where, like, he's out in, I think it was Vegas, and like he's having some sort of rally or something, like yay for Cruz or whatever, and then Trump just shows up at that fucking like casino or wherever the fuck they were, this lobby, and all the reporters just leave. And there's this picture of Glenn Beck just standing there, like looking hurt and confused, of like, and there's like 3 people still around him. Oh man.
It shows how smart Cruz was. That Beck was the guy he chose for Christian outreach, a Mormon.
Well, Cruz really did not run the best campaign. He had a few moments there, but yeah, by and large, he didn't. Maybe he'd have gotten the nomination away from Jeb, if not for Trump in there. But I don't know.
I don't see that happening. The GOP had a plan to put Jeb in, and the only reason it didn't succeed was because Trump entered the race.
The GOP had a plan too, but nearly every Republican voter had a different plan. Jeb Bush's campaign. That really was just a once-in-a-lifetime spectacle to watch, that whole election. Which reminds me, how's your book on the election coming?
It's going slow. I've had to really focus on some other projects. Like right now, I'm in the middle of reconstructing a lot of my website and my bookstore because I've neglected shit for nearly a year now, months now, and I just need to get caught up on all that, which is what I've been doing while I'm waiting for my new job to start, as it were.
Well, that should be a hell of a book, because that was one hell of an election.
Oh yeah, it'll be deeply amusing. It's a book full of sex, sleaze, and drug abuse and
Cheetos,
bad words, and Cheetos. Yeah, in happier news, it looks like Bitcoin and Litecoin have ended their multi-day slide.
I did not get into Bitcoin early on. I wanted to, and I ended up getting talked out of it by people, and I regret that.
Well, yeah, I'm doing it now because I realized that a decent number of the donations I took during 2016 when I was covering the election were in Bitcoin. But instead of holding on to them, I cashed them out into USD. And I realized that if I'd held on to them, I would have tens of thousands of dollars right now. If I just held on to those donations. And these were like small donations. They were like, $20 here, $20 there. And in fact, I got into my Coinbase account a few days ago. When I used to solicit donations, I hadn't logged into it for a year because I switched phone numbers and couldn't get past the 2-factor authentication. And I discovered that in this Coinbase account, there was a donation I had left in it that I had not cashed out. I got it in November 2016, the day before the election, actually. It was a donation for $1, worth $1. It was the actual number of Bitcoin was, I think, 0.001488. It was worth $1 at the time I got it. Now it's worth $30. So I've been trading on a small way to build up my stash. Like right now I've got
set up one of those Coinbase things and start taking Bitcoins.
Oh, you should, man, and you shouldn't cash them, and you shouldn't cash them out. You should hold on to them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, kind of as an investment.
Yeah, do that, and also, you can diversify into Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. Like my profile,
everyone knows Dogecoin is where it's at.
Well, Dogecoin isn't available on Coinbase just yet. But yeah, I'm at 45% Bitcoin. That's my portfolio. 25% Litecoin, 20% Ethereum, and 10% Bitcoin Cash. And Ethereum is the only thing that's been rising for the past few days, but it looks like everything else has ended. I plan to get rich this year off of cryptos.
Let's see. I mean, I've had people be, "Oh, Bitcoin, it's not real," and it's like, your dollars aren't real. I mean, you think any of it's real at this point?
Nothing's real.
Like gold is real. Do you have any of that?
Well, realistically, if you want to get technical, gold isn't real unless you're actually holding it. Like if you're one of those idiots who just buys gold bullion stocks that you don't have physical access to, it doesn't mean anything. Like in a shit hits the fan scenario, you're never going to see a penny of that.
Yeah, that's retarded. If you're going to invest in gold, you get actual fucking gold.
But yes, I'm trading to basically to build gradual stocks. I doubt I'll get I'm not chasing these highs and lows, but I follow the here's some good investing advice for those of you listening. Get the book The 3% Signal and follow the program in that. It's a program targeted for stocks and bonds primarily, but I've adapted it for crypto pretty easily. Basically, the premise is instead of trying to predict the future, which is difficult with the stock market and pretty much fucking impossible with cryptocurrency, you react to what the market actually does. You hold to the system and you can grow your money pretty easily. Like just on a lark, I started with this profile about $40, including the Bitcoin I already had in there, and right now, a couple days later, I'm up to about $60. That's not a huge amount of money, but I'm still working the kinks out. But it's better than trying to basically, read all the stupid news and listen to the experts who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Just follow a simple program like the 3% Signal that relies on basic math and past knowledge, and you'll be good to go. Oh, and don't invest more money into this than you can afford to lose.
Oh no, never do that.
Yeah, Bitcoin's a scam. You lose money. It's like, nah. If it's money you wouldn't mind losing, then go right ahead and do it. I'd say $20 in Bitcoin is worth more than say 20 whatever else you could spend $20 on. I don't know, a movie ticket, a video game, because the Bitcoin at least has a chance of increasing in value.
Everything like that it's all a risk. It's all essentially a gamble. It's just a question of degrees of odds. I mean. Investing in the stock market is not all that different at its core than buying a Powerball ticket. It's just a question of odds.
Oh yeah,
don't put more in than you can afford to lose.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Ninja Master in the comments suggests Monero. Monero is a good investment as well. The only reason I don't have any of that is because I'm waiting for Bitfinex, which is the biggest Monero, the biggest trader with Monero, to open up to new accounts. Like right now, I'm only trading with what Coinbase allows. But I say Monero is a great investment. Dash is a great investment. Monero is going to be the next Bitcoin. And the other thing too is like you missed the biggest gains. I've been hearing that every year going back to 2011. Don't get into Bitcoin now. You've already missed the biggest gains. That was back when it was worth like $1 in 2011, and now it's worth about $15,000. We're all technically still early adopters of cryptocurrency. It's a concept that's not going away because it serves a real need.
It's nowhere near mainstream.
It serves a real need, cryptocurrency. It provides a bulwark of security against government idiocy.
And especially with so many companies wanting to take away your PayPal or whatever for this or that imagined infraction. Bitcoin is far more decentralized.
Yeah, it's basically, the big thing that got people interested in Bitcoin and really illustrates its staying power was about 5 years ago when the government of Cyprus, as part of their conditions for a bailout from the EU, did a haircut of everyone's bank accounts. Imagine having 20% of your money in your account taken away because the government fucked up the economy. So a lot of people just pulled their money out of the banks as fast as they could, and they put it in Bitcoin to keep it safe.
Somebody says, what about the XXX 420 Blaze It XXX coin? That's probably a real thing too. But yeah, it's probably only slightly riskier than the dollar. The 420 Blaze It coin.
Oh yeah, and another thing too: be careful with stocks and capital gains taxes, because anytime you sell and make a profit on this, you got to pay taxes on it. I'm not a tax expert, so seek out a professional on this, but make sure to log everything. Just don't fuck around with that. I'm sure the IRS is already, after my statements, they're going to be monitoring my tax return next year very carefully.
Well, from what I understand with Bitcoin, it's considered, it's not considered the same as like a stock or something. It's considered like an asset. So you do have to do a capital gains tax, but it's not until you sell it. I don't know. It's slightly different than a stock. Like you'd have to actually talk to a tax guy about it and make sure.
Yeah, just remember to dot your I's and cross your T's, because the IRS is going to be after you if you make any big gains of this.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're gonna want some, and if possible, see if you can pay them in Dogecoin.
John Steele says in the chat, all those YouTube trad thoughts have become very rich on Bitcoin. Yeah, well, good on them. It's a smart investment. I know Blonde in the Belly of the Beast was talking about how she had some Bitcoin purchases that have gone way up in value. They were smart to hold on to it. I was fucking stupid. I've dabbled in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for years, but I never took it seriously until now. Like I tried Bitcoin day trading in 2013 before Mount Gox went up. That's stupid. Don't day trade. Don't trade. Period. Day trading is for fucking assholes. But don't day trade Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. It's just fucking stupid and stressful, and you'll get eaten alive on fees. Buy it, hold it, use the 3% signal plan, and don't do anything. Don't make rash decisions. Have a wide time horizon. You're not going to get rich tomorrow. You're not going to get rich the next day. The idea is to get rich several months or years down the line. It's like regular stock investing, only more volatile and more accessible to the common man.
I got to set up one of these things so I can start taking Bitcoin. Because I'm sure I got some people that would toss me some Bitcoin.
1488 Bitcoin. I mean, .41488.
Yeah, I was going to say, shit, what the hell would 14.88 Bitcoins be at this point? I think I'd cash that out in a hurry, probably. That's probably life-changing money at this point. Let's see. Every trade in crypto is a taxable event. It's hard to track coin sales for profit loss. You need a Coinbase account and a separate wallet. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. It's probably one of those things where, I mean, I'm not telling you to not fucking keep track of it, but it's definitely one of those things where I bet a lot of people are for a while going to be able to get away with not reporting it to the IRS, because I bet you they're playing catch up on trying to get.
My own accountant told me that it's a big gray area. The IRS hasn't even really figured out how to regulate it properly. So just keep records of everything and all that, but don't worry too much about it.
Yeah, my advice would be keep meticulous records, but maybe err on the side of not reporting it. But then if they come after you, be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand." Here.
Yeah, the other thing, the IRS. The IRS really is really pretty forgiving. If you're actively trying to hide stuff from them, that's when they come down on you. But if you just fuck up and forget to fill out a form the right way or misreport something, they'll work with you to get it right. They'll work with you to get it right.
Yeah, there's a difference between the kind of like active tax avoidance that the IRS really goes after, and you didn't hand in a particular form. Usually, I mean, they might get you with a bit of a fee, but usually if you're like, oh, I didn't, I don't, I'm small time, I don't know what the hell's going on, they'll be like, whatever, just pay it and go away.
Yeah, the other thing too with the IRS, if you're not making huge amounts of money, they're really not gonna, come down on you. Like if you're self-employed or a small-time crypto investor, You know, they're looking for people who are like making millions of dollars but only reporting 30,000 in income for the year. They're not looking for someone who's just, you know, playing around with coins or is self-employed or is a starving waitress.
They're looking for the big scores. Is what it boils down to. You know, they're out there fishing. They're not interested in catching guppies.
And they don't have the resources to catch guppies anyway.
You know, so by and large, you're not what they want. Now, I'm not telling you to avoid taxes or anything. I'm just telling you, you know, don't sweat it too much if you're like, I don't know if I've reported enough shit. Like, whatever.
Sam Johnson says, obligatory DSP tax situation joke. Bugged crypto mechanics.
Well, that's his shit was probably because Leanne fucking got him caught.
Wait, what did she do?
Okay, well,
I don't follow the saga of DSP as closely as other people.
So the tax situation was DSP moved out to Washington. Washington does not have a state income tax. Washington State. They do so all he had to pay was his federal income tax. The problem is because he was self-employed and it was a business, if it's an official business, he has to pay a business tax or whatever, right? And he's trying to say it's not an official business. It's just money I make on the side, right? And he could maybe get away with that, except what happened was the whole reason not IRS, but whatever the Washington Tax Bureau was, caught wind of it was somebody had signed his DSP gaming business up for all these like industry magazines, like contractor magazines and shit like that, you know, like things that managers get and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are saying who signed him up for all that shit was Leanna, his ex-girlfriend. Because, you know, she would have had the info and the means and shit to do that. It might not have been, but she is kind of looking like the prime suspect right now.
So, man, that's some fuck nigga OPSEC right there.
So yeah, it's pretty funny, but it's okay because his fans just paid it for him. I'm sure that's just what happened.
Yeah, well. Who do you think is more pathetic? DSP's fans or Spoonie's fans at this point?
Spoonie's fans. I don't even have to think about that. At least DSP, I mean, you can question the quality of his quality content that DSP puts out. But the fact of the matter is DSP is putting out content. If you like the videos DSP makes, he is continuously making them. So, again, if you like the videos he makes, and that's a big if, it makes sense to want to support him. Spoonie actively spits in the face of his fans. Spoonie actively hates his fans. I mean, it's like Findom to support Spoonie. Because he's all like, you know, you pay Piggy's got my money.
It's you know, since he's a good, it's gay Findom.
Yeah.
They're cash fags.
Yeah, still defending Spoonie at this point is worse. As I said on a stream the other day, I was looking at both of their Patreons, and I was like, Phil is making over twice what Spoonie is making. He has a much higher average donation per patron, and the fact of the matter is he deserves to be making more than Spoonie is. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Phil deserves to be making $1,000 a month. I think Phil deserves to be making like, you know, $5 a month. And Spoonie $250. Let's put it that way. But yes, Spoonie is worse than Phil at this point. Again, at least Phil is doing his job as well as he's ever done it. You can't even accuse Phil's content of going down in quality. I mean, if you ever liked it, you should like it now.
Yeah, I mean, the only really thing that's changed, I guess, is that there are more whiny vlogs about how he can't pay his bills or something. So,
well, even that, I mean, you could just ignore those. He's still putting out the regular gaming shit and I do mean shit, that he's always put out. You know, whereas Spoonie, it's yeah, not so much with Spoonie.
Now, there's talking about a guy who should have invested in crypto, DSP. Well, I suppose Spoonie too, but Spoonie's not constantly. Well, he is, I guess, but he fucking deserves it. He's constantly whining about his finances, but
yeah, I know I should have invested in it. I got talked out of that by a buddy of mine, and I regret that to this day.
yeah. I usually ended up talking myself out of it. Like when I was doing day trading back in 2013, I tried it for like a month, and after after getting exhausted with it, I just cashed out. Well, I only did it with $30, and I think I ended up with $25 at the end of it. So I only ended up losing about $5. But man, if I'd held on to $30 worth of Bitcoin in 2013, my God, I'd probably be a millionaire.
Yeah, I had a few bucks even. I could have thrown like a couple thousand into it back in like 2012.
James Mort says, someone make DSP coin. Comes with free heavy mouth breathing and snorting.
DSP coin?
Yeah, you could do that with the Ethereum network. Just make a DSP token. We could make Becht coin too.
A little Bulbasaur on it. That'd be my luck. It becomes the biggest one, and I don't have any of it. DSP coin. It's got DSP's face on the one side, like that screen made from that screenshot of him as he threw his head back while jerking off. And then on the other side, it just says "Wow" with like 4 O's.
Well, you also have to control for inflation. Like Bitcoin, there will only be 1,488 of them in circulation at any given time.
Yep. DSP coin. I don't know how many times did it take them to make that one jump in Half-Life? That's how many are in circulation. Oh shit. All right. Well, I think I've rambled on long enough for this morning show here. 40, you got any closing thoughts for the day?
And that was Bechtloff in the morning, the most local news, traffic, and weather.
On the daily thought report. All right. Everybody, I want to thank you all for listening. If you enjoy the show, there's a PayPal and a Patreon down below. You can send a one-time donation. You become a regular supporter. Both of that helps me keep doing what I'm doing. Hopefully, we'll get back on track with doing the regular weekday show. If you haven't checked out already, there's a few animated videos here recently. I think Mario games are not all the same was the most recent one I do. I got to throw together a playlist and shit so it's easier for people to navigate. And I think before that, it might even have been the trolling of the girl selling blouses on Facebook or whatever. But do check out the animated videos, more on the way of those. And that's all we got for tonight, or today, I should say. Bechtloff out.